Well in time for the upcoming winter season, Chivalry II just got a new big content update, the Winter War update. In this video I will go over the highlights of this new patch and also give you my thoughts on the general state of the game. So let's jump right into it. The main attraction of the new Winter War update is the brand new team objective map, the Assault on Thayic Stronghold. The story behind this battle is probably the most dramatic one out of all the maps. The Masons are on the attack and have cornered the Agathians in their northern stronghold. To win, the Mason must overcome the heavily defended shoreline, break through the walls, lower the fort's drawbridge, and capture the courtyard right in front of Argon's doorstep. And at last, the order is to kill Argon II, the self-proclaimed leader of the Agathians, and be rid of the rebellion once and for all. Visually, the map looks great, which is no surprise at this point, as Tornbanner's art division has constantly delivered high-quality maps since release. The map pool in general has become pretty diverse by now, and includes many themes and different terrains. One thing that I don't like about the map is the intense snowstorm particle effect. It looks quite cinematic, but gets annoying and very hard to look at after some time. From a gameplay standpoint, the Thayic Stronghold is in a bit of a weird spot. On the one hand, it seems that there are more choke points than on most other maps, almost too many for my liking. On the other hand, fights seem to be more scattered because there are different routes to the objectives and players are more spread out. The map brings a few new gameplay mechanics to the game, like climbable rope ladders and breakable ice. In terms of objectives, however, there is nothing that we haven't already seen in previous maps. The Assault on Thayic Stronghold is playable in the Winter War matchmaking queue, so if you wanna try it out, you are guaranteed to get to play on that map immediately. The Winter War update also adds a new weapon to the game, the Quarterstaff, a two-handed blunt type weapon for the Crusader class, a subclass of the Knight. The Quarterstaff is a somewhat defensive weapon, as it has reduced stamina loss on block, but also deals reduced stamina damage itself. Slashes are short range and good for close quarters. Stabs and overheads have more range. From testing the weapon for a few games, it feels a bit weak compared to some other blunt type weapons. It's not absolutely terrible, but definitely not great either. What I noticed is that the animations, especially if you feint an attack, look deceptive and misleading, and people often input the wrong counterattack. In terms of weapon and gameplay balance, the new update only brought a few significant changes. The Cathars got a much needed damage buff on all their base attacks. The Poleaxe also got a small damage buff. I'm not exactly sure why they chose to do that. The weapon was in a decent spot before. Maybe their data showed that it was rarely picked and they wanted it to be more popular. The other change, and the one that was definitely more in need, is the remodeling of the Highland Sword. Pre-patch, the Highland Sword was comically large and reminded more of an over-the-top anime sword than a medieval weapon. They made it a bit smaller and it now looks a bit less out of place. Another balance change is that the maximum amount of horses per team got reduced from 6 to 4 on every map. Personally, I'm not a very big fan of horses in general in this game. I can see why Tornbanner wanted to add them though. They are trying to introduce new gameplay mechanics to keep the game fresh, and horses diversify the gameplay a bit, but I think horse combat sounds better on paper than it plays out. Anyway, like in every other patch, there are reportedly tons of performance, animation, map, audio and UI fixes. If you want to look at them in detail, you can find the full patch notes linked in the video description below. A few noteworthy ones are: the chase mechanic and the customization reset bugs on console are apparently fixed. And also the bug where the game always displays the default helmet when no helmet was equipped has been addressed. On the other hand, the probably two most requested features, namely full crossplay functionality and button mapping for consoles, are still not in the game, which is disappointing to say the least. The second major highlight of this patch, besides the new team objective map, is the new campaign pass. For the first time since release, Chivalry II got a battle pass. So like in many other modern multiplayer games, you grind levels and unlock cosmetics by playing the game. There is a free version and a premium version that they sell for around $10. Battle passes have a bad reputation. Within the last years, game companies have discovered how easy it is to milk their player base with loot boxes and shiny cosmetics. Some of them make millions by selling their newest cosmetics for hundreds of dollars. But to judge if a monetization model is predatory, we always have to take a close look what exactly is offered to what price. In this case, for $10 you get the premium pass and can unlock 18 armory items on top of the 11 you can get with the free pass. These are mostly variants of the new Huskar set and different weapon skins. So no loot boxes or any other shady milking strategies. For a live service game like Chivalry II, even if it's buy to play, I think it is totally acceptable to charge $10 here and there for a few hats. Definitely better than locking out parts of the player base with things like DLC maps or game modes. Battle passes aren't bad per se in my opinion. They can catch two birds with one stone. Obviously, it helps with development upkeep. Running a game dev studio of more than 30 people is pretty expensive, and nowhere in hell are Chivalry's monthly game sales anywhere near enough to cover their expenses. Not that this battle pass changes a whole lot there, but it certainly helps a bit. Secondly, battle passes also help with player retention. Chivalry II always had problems with player retention. Thornbanner released their game now basically 3 times. The initial Epic Game Store release in 2021, the Steam release this year in June, and recently the PC and Xbox Game Pass release. And after each release, the game seems to have lost interest and players maybe faster than expected, which has several reasons in my opinion. For once, there is nothing to grind for in Chivalry. There is no real endgame, no hard to obtain cosmetics, no titles, no rank, and no worthwhile skill ceiling to grind. The base gameplay loop alone seems to be not interesting enough to keep a larger mainstream audience engaged for a very long time. Players love to work towards a goal and collect cosmetics, and with a progression system like the Battle Pass, people can do that now. Anyway, besides the Battle Pass items, there is also a new Gladiator set and 2 new voices in the game. The pace in which Thornbanner updates their game is quite impressive in my opinion. I didn't really expect a patch before Christmas, as the most recent update is not even 2 months old. Chivalry II is a game that still has issues and some missing features that should have been in the game since day one, but for what it is, namely a casual medieval slasher game that places great value on cinematics, there is lots of fun to be had. If you haven't touched Chivalry in a while, I think the new map alone makes it worth it to jump back in and play a few games. Definitely let me know your thoughts about this update in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and hit the subscribe button to catch all the future medieval slasher content. As always, thank you all for watching and see you soon.